Warhammer has been around for about nearly 25 years now, so it's not just centered on one type of game experience. We're making an MMO based on the entirety of the fantasy universe. Warhammer Online is centered around, very much around RVR, and that is to say realm versus realm combat. That's Mythic's own take on player versus player combat. It's very much team-based. In its largest terms, it's two alliances, the Alliance of Order, which is dwarfs, the humans from the Empire, and the High Elves, against the Forces of Destruction, which are the Greenskins, Goblins and Orcs, Dark Elves, and Chaos. Everything in the game is focused around that war. Everything you do, any quest, any mission that you go on, is to support the war effort, your side versus the enemy. So there's a lot of battles, a lot of fun with that, a lot of player killing, but there's also a lot of PvE adventuring to be had in this game too. We very much wanted to have four very archetypical, very strong roles for every race. I can start with the Greenskins, say. We have one which is called the Black Orc. He is very much the tank, I'm going to soak up damage. I am a tough fighter. We have another one that's called Berserker. That's a temporary name right now, but he is very much a damage dealer. He's out there in your face, a capable melee fighter. And one thing I should say is that every career in the game, and this is very important, is a capable fighter. That's very much a Warhammer thing. We don't have any utility classes where I'm standing in the back just doing none of that. We do have healers in the game, but they also are up there close fighting, and they'll periodically help their buddies out. The other two for the Greenskins are the Shaman, and he does happen to be the healer, and he uses magical Greenskin Wob magic in order to help his friends and kill his enemies. And then the last one is a really cool one. He's called the Squig Herder, and only goblins can be this, but it's a pet class, but it's not a traditional pet class by any way, shape, or form. He can take squigs and have them do his bidding. Not only that, but he can also, and this is really crazy Warhammer IP stuff, but he can climb inside the squig itself, and it kind of becomes his battle armor, and he's out there rolling around doing damage against his enemies. So it's really kind of a bent, odd take on that. We are very much about specific roles because this is an RVR game. We don't want to have too terribly many roles, but we do want to provide in the career system flexibility with in your own character. And I very much like to compare it to, say, a college career. If I'm an iron breaker and I'm majoring in iron breaking, I have some required courses that I need to take that take me up the career system in kind of a central fashion, so that we know exactly what your role is. I look at that guy I saw on the battlefield, that's an iron breaker. I damn well know what he can do. But outside of that, we have kind of elective type things, much like in college, where I can kind of specialize and do some different things that maybe other iron breakers don't elect to do. And then beyond that, even further specializations that kind of add gameplay styles to my character to more to my liking. So very much about the role, that's the important thing. But beyond that, we can kind of let you do what you please as you move up through the careers. We're not really talking about crafting right now, but there will be crafting in this game. And one thing I will say is it's all about the war effort. So nobody's making pants, nobody's making bread. They're making weapons, they're making armor, they're making, things that help people, execute the war. The zones will be wide open. Each zone, and an important thing here is that each zone has PvP areas associated with it. So it's not a segregated system where you go off to this far-off distant land to fight the enemy. No, it happens right there in every zone in the game. But they're not instanced so that you vanish off into another instance of a zone and you may or may not be with your friends. It's not like that. It's very much a wide open game. The servers themselves are set up, I guess, similar to in terms to, say, Camelot or whatever. It's a conventional way. Thousands of players on one copy, thousands of players on another copy. Anything that we can catalog within the game, we're going to put in there in kind of a bragging rights form, so that you can look and say, hey, look what I did. I've done so much of the game, and look how great my character is. So it's very much about bragging rights, and we also do that with the player characters themselves. As they grow in power, they change in different ways to show, that they are more powerful. Dwarfs' beards get longer because they're all about, worshiping or honoring their ancestors. So their beards get longer as they get more powerful. Orcs actually get physically larger and more muscular as they get up in power. Obviously, you know, like a lot of other games do, their armors get more elaborate, but we're also going to allow you to tack trophies and things on your body, you know, skulls for orcs and dwarf beards hanging off their belts and all kinds of cool things. So when you're like a walking trophy case, you know, by the time you get into the high levels of the game, somebody else on the battlefield can look at you and go, maybe not, I'm not going to fight that guy, you know, he's a badass. Well, as I've said, having the game founded from the ground up in PvP, RVR, is very important to us because that's a long-term gameplay element. Dark Age of Camelot really showed us that we get the long-term players that way. We get the really committed players, the guys that are going to make the really strong community from RVR, because it's an ongoing thing. It doesn't end. There's always a conflict going on there. And you see here the very tip of the iceberg. The Warhammer IP is very, very deep. And it's very humorous as well. And so we really want people to keep an eye out for that humor, and I think they'll really enjoy it. And as we get into, showing the other races, Chaos and the Empire and the Elves in general, we'll see all of these different elements that will differentiate the game as well. So there's a lot to it that you haven't seen yet. Well, you can expect to play it in the fall of 2007 on the PC. We haven't committed to any other platform as of yet. Now, we've done some explorations, as you might have heard, at E3, but we haven't committed to any other platform. Now, EA obviously brings a lot to the table in that regard, so we'll keep investigating things like that. But as for now, you can look forward to it on the PC in the fall of 2007.